Season's greetings, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about spending the holidays with abusive family members or an abusive family in general. And I'm going to be addressing this for young adults and older adults. Young adults in the sense that you're still sort of dependent on your family. You're probably in a tertiary institution, having your first degree, and they're still very much responsible for you. You still live under their roof, and you have to come back home from school to such a family or such a family member. How do you navigate that? How do you deal with that when the holidays is a mix of fun and happiness, as well as obligation, as well as fear of the unknown? What are you going to meet? How are they going to treat you? And things like that. And as well, older adults who have more independence, who are now independent. How do you navigate dealing with or spending the holidays with an abusive family or an abusive family member? I will get right into it shortly, just after this break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. If this is your first time watching any of my videos, you're welcome, and I would appreciate you subscribing to this channel. If you find that mental health content, content around abuse, trauma, healing, recovery, faith, and all of that is something that you are interested in, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so that you are notified every time a new video is uploaded. Like I mentioned earlier, in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to navigate spending the holidays with an abusive family or an abusive family member. And let's get right into it. So if you are a student returning from school and needing to spend the holidays with your family member, the sad truth is that there is almost nothing or little or almost nothing basically that you can do about it. You do not necessarily have a choice but to go back home, you and have to face them. So the number of options you have to explore are not so much, but hope is not lost. One first thing that I'm going to mention that you should do is to already prepare in your mind, prepare safe, healthy environment in your mind, within yourself, such that you are already full of love, full of joy, full of happiness, and just really whole mentally before returning home to be in that environment for the period of the holidays, in that abusive environment that is, so that when there is abuse going on and you're having to endure it and just live with it, you can your bank is full, your tank is full. And so when they're pulling out of you, sort of draining you, you're not going to be running on empty, for lack of a better word or lack of a better way to put it, right? So you are already full. And how do you do this? You surround yourself, you deliberately create, when you are on your own in the school, on your own wherever you are, before going home, you ensure that you are deliberate about the relationships that you surround yourself with, the people that you surround yourself with, because you know that you're going home to meet toxicity. You do not want to, in your private place or in the place where you have independence and a lot more control, create a similar environment for yourself. You want people around you that can build you up, people around you that will genuinely love you. You want to be deliberate about the kind of relationships that you keep. You want to set healthy boundaries for yourself as it concerns relationships, right? So that is really important. And you're doing a lot of meditation, you're doing a lot of mindfulness, you're doing a lot of practicing breathing exercises, coping techniques, things that you can do to cope when you eventually go home to spend the holidays with that abusive family member, right? And so that when you get to that environment and then they start to behave in ways that are abusive towards you, that are toxic towards you, those coping techniques that you have developed, that you have built, are what will see you through those times, right? How to, even when they do things that trigger you and make you angry, how do you handle that anger? What do you do with that anger emotion, right? I mentioned breathing exercises earlier. Another thing you may want to consider is just being quiet, and not not exchanging words with the abuser, who is maybe being verbally abusive or emotionally abusive, because they feed on that actually. So you want to hold your peace. You want to keep quiet. You may go back into your private time, into your room, and vent and cry, and whatever it is that you need to do, but ensure that you do not feed the abuser with the attention that they are seeking, right? And it could be your parents, it could be a sibling, it could be um, anybody. Ensure that you are going into the is willing to do the tasks that are necessary, the tasks that are required of you as normal. You do the dishes, you um, decorate the house, whatever needs to be done, whatever is the ritual in your family during the holiday periods, and just do your part. And like I said, if you have fed yourself up so much with so much positive energy, coming back home, you're not going to be running on empty, basically. And so that's one thing. Secondly, is still for such a person who is a student, going from school or another environment back home, to where it's abusive and toxic. Another thing you want to do is to manage your expectations. Really, in any relationship, any kind of relationship, the things that hurt us the most are unmet expectations. Why we struggle in relationships, why we um, maybe struggle is not the right word, but why we feel pain. The reason we feel pain in relationships is because the person you're in a relationship with has not met an expectation of them that you have, right? So you want to manage your expectations. Have they, over the years, every time you've had to spend holidays with this family member, have they always acted in so and so, in this particular way that is hurtful towards you? Then you need to stop expecting that they would not. You may have tried to have conversations with them in the past. You may consider, if you've never done that, you may consider doing that this holiday period when you're now with them this year, and have such that conversation with them and see if things can possibly change. But if you have had such a conversation with them and nothing has changed, and they probably even go from bad to worse in the way they treat you, you want to manage your expectations and not expect that it will be different, so that when they actually act in that way, it's the amount of hurt, the level of hurt that you feel is minimal, because you already know that this is who they are, this is how they act, right? But to expect a different kind of them, a different version of them going back home, would only hurt you more, when you know categorically that they are unrepentantly abusive towards you. So expect that they would treat you unfairly. Expect that they would try to take advantage of you or try to hurt you, and just be generally toxic and create that toxic environment for you, so that um, you know what to expect. And if they give you a good surprise and they don't act that way, oh, why not? That's even beautiful. But to expect that they would have changed by the time you got home after so many years without anything, any external help that they got, or any work that they did on themselves that you are very sure of, there is no point. Just manage your expectations so that it hurts less. Right. So those are the 2 points, the two pieces of advice that I have for such a person. Now going into talking about older adults, you are now possibly even married, or you're now living on your own, you are independent, you do not depend on them for any part of your livelihood, any part of your living, rather. Your living expenses are being 100% covered by you. You, in fact, probably already even send money home. You already take up the responsibility of some of your siblings, maybe if you have the capacity to. You have a few more options to explore to make navigating spending the holidays with an abusive family member um, even easier or even better. So the first two things that I mentioned already earlier also applies to this category of people. But also, one thing that you want to do is to set clear boundaries before the holidays, before even going to spend the holiday period with them. You want to set clear boundaries for the things that you would accept and the things that you would not accept. And for the things that you would not accept, you need to already prepare your mind and plan what your responses are going to be. Are you going to outrightly tell them that you do not accept this behavior or that behavior towards you? Are you going to just walk away from the situation? Are you going to find distractions and alternative things that you can do to take your mind off what they have done to hurt you? What is your strategy for enforcing your boundaries, right? So the things that you are willing to take, have them defined. The things that you cannot and will not, have them defined. Communicate them as well. Maybe even ahead of time. I'm coming to spend the holidays with you, as we usually do. I enjoyed this and this and this about our times together, but one or two things that I would not tolerate this year is when you do this or that to me. This is how it makes me feel, and I'm not willing to accept that this time around. And so set those clear boundaries, communicate it with them. I know that especially in African homes, this can be a bit dicey, especially when the abusive family member is a parent. You want to maintain your respect. You do not want to sound like you're dishonoring them. But there are ways that you can communicate this, and if you don't, you can communicate this respectfully. Communicating this does not mean that you have to be rude or disrespectful. However, if you find that this is difficult, you may decide that your alternative, when those boundaries that you have set are being violated, what you want to do is to excuse yourself from the situation rather than exchange words, rather than stay, or you probably want to maintain your peace rather, yeah, like I said, rather than exchange words. That may be what you are defining as your option for managing the situation and just navigating the holiday period with such a person, such a parent, or such a sibling. So just decide that ahead of time. You prepare for a battle before the battle, not during the battle. I'm not saying quoting. I'm not saying that quote right, but that's basically what it means. That you prepare for war before the time of the battle, not on the battlefield. So before you get in that environment, before you start to spend the holiday period with them, already define on your own, in your own private space, what your boundaries are and what you're going to do if those boundaries are violated. But boundaries are not really boundaries if they are not communicated. So it's important to communicate the boundaries respectfully, right, and decide what you're going to do if they are violated. Number two is if you have a spouse or a partner and they are coming with you for the holidays, to spend the holidays with your family member, you may want to discuss with them what they should expect, because you are the one who is more familiar with that abusive family member. You want to discuss with them what to expect and how you expect them to support you. Having someone to support you in those times um, can also be helpful. It's important if you have the luxury of that. And so discuss with them how you want them to support you. Do you want them to speak up for you? Do you want them to just be by your side when things that are hurtful are happening? And just have that conversation with them. How would you want your spouse or your partner to support you through that period, through the holidays period that you're spending with your family member or members, right? Another thing is to set a time limit. So set how long you want to spend in total, how many days or weeks you want to spend with the family member. Define it so that it doesn't get longer than that, regardless of what anybody says or how anybody tries to cajole you into staying longer. Define it. In fact, already create activities around the days that you're not going to be with your family member, and let them know ahead of time that you already have appointments, you already have commitments that must be attended to, and so this is the number of days that you'll be spending with them. So there is defining the time limit by how long in total you're spending with such a family member. There is also defining the time limit by deciding how many minutes or how many hours in a day you are within the direct environment, physical space, same physical space as the abusive family member. So you may want to limit that as well, so that things don't escalate or go out of or go blown out of proportion around them or with them. So if you observe that things tend to go south with your family during lunchtime or during breakfast, you want to make sure that you're having your breakfast as quickly as early as possible. I mean, you're done with it as early as possible, and you exit the dining room or the dining table once you're done. Do not give room for conversations that could lead to to verbal abuse, and things like that. So just be polite, have your breakfast, pray together, do the things that you would normally do as a family together, and just keep it moving. Basically, come with distractions, which is another thing, so that when you're out of that environment for the time being, you're not bored. You have other things that you can be doing. It could be games with your spouse or your children or your significant other. It could be that you even schedule appointments, play dates with your friends, maybe old friends who you grew up with, that live in the environment as well, and just schedule play dates with them, and you go out, so that you're not always like 247 in the same environment with the abusive family member. As much as you can, just limit the time that is spent around them, knowing that this is just for a limited time, and you will soon be back to sanity. You'll soon be back to your normal peaceful life. I would say one more thing is to um, start to consider having your own family holiday traditions, especially when you are already an independent adult. Consider starting a family of your own if you haven't started yet, and just even starting a Christmas tradition, a holiday season tradition with your new nuclear family, such that you do not have to always spend the holidays with your family of birth, right? And then you can communicate that to them, that you're now a married person, a married man or a married woman, and you and your spouse would like to start your own Christmas holiday traditions with your kids, and all that. So while you may entertain visiting them, so rather than spending the holiday period with them, you would want to maybe just go a day to visit and then return to your own home as you continue your own newly founded family holiday traditions, right? So that's something you may want to start to consider, to even lower the number of times that you have to come in contact with this abusive family member. And lastly, I'd say to just really rest in the fact that you can never change people or control people, right? So just rest, knowing that you only have control of your own actions, your own choices, your own decisions, and whatever anybody else chooses to do is not your responsibility to fix. Whether, regardless of what your relationship with them is, whether you are the parent, whether you are the sibling, maybe the older sibling, you are not responsible for their behavior, especially if and when they are adults. Even if they are children, so to say, or teenagers, you still are not responsible. You cannot control um, anybody. You are only responsible for your own actions, your own responses to situations. So work on that. Like I said in the beginning, work on defining what you're going to do when certain situations happen. The abusive family member is not new to you. You are aware of how they are, the things that they would usually do. So you can even plan ahead for what your responses are going to be like when they do the things that they do, that tend to cause chaos and confusion, and that is abusive. So just prepare ahead what your responses are going to be, so that nothing catches you by surprise as much as possible. If there's anything that I missed out, or questions that you may have about navigating the holiday period with difficult or abusive family members, you can leave them in the comment section, and when I see them, I'll reply them, answer your questions. If there is a need for another video to further buttress certain points, then I'll do that. If you have enjoyed this video, if you have learned one thing or the other, if you have found it relatable and helpful, please do well to hit the thumbs up button rather, to like this video, and like I said, drop a comment and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, to get more content on mental health, on abuse, on trauma, on healing, faith, and all of that. On this channel, I talk about my own journey sometimes when the need arises or the topic requires that I talk about my own healing journey as well. So if you're interested in content like that, do well to subscribe and make sure you hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. And once again, season's greetings, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year in advance. Until my next video, bye.